Hello students, I'd like to continue with these online lectures on regular basis 2 times a week as long as this is the only possibility to give you explanation of the topic. I know it's more difficult for you to study on your own and to focus on the important details for every topic. So today we will continue with the Minoan civilization and also Mycenaean civilization. So let's start with this first one, Minoans. First of all, where did this name come from? Well, this civilization was based in Crete, which is an island in Aegean Sea, the biggest one, but the civilization is not named after the island, but after the king Minos. Minos was the first king of Minoan civilization and basically the only king we know about. To Minos there is also one legend that he was the son of Europa and Zeus, who is the Greek god, and Europa, his mother, her name was used for our continent. Okay, so Europe is named after mother of Minos. So that is just like the interesting fact. I will give you worksheet about this where you will have this legend. So this is just like the first information. So Minos was the king, and according to his name, the civilization was named Minoan. Of course, the civilization was named by historians and not by these people. Maybe they called themselves another way, but we call them Minoans. In Crete, there's a very famous palace in Knossos, which was the capital of Crete. Okay, Knossos. And there was a huge palace with a huge labyrinth. This labyrinth, it's a maze, and it was excavated by Sir Arthur Evans, who was an archaeologist. Tento pán, Sir Arthur Evans, vlastne vykopal. Áno, slovičko excavated znamená teda, že vykopal, lebo bol archeológ, ktorý nielen teda, že objavil, ale naozaj teda urobili sa rozsiahle vykopávky a odhalil sa celý palác v Knose s tým labyrintom, ktorý sa nachádzal pod palácom. The palace of Knossos had also underground plumbing and piped running water. This we know from Indus Valley River civilization, for example. So they had the first plumbing system, but Minoans also had things like that. Walls of the palace were decorated by frescoes. These frescoes are paintings on the walls, and it's very special technique, and this was the first time when such technique was used. Ide o fresky. Aby som vám vysvetlila tú techniku najskôr po slovensky, ide o to, že sa do vlhkej omietky maluje tekutými farbami. Čiže je to veľmi náročná technika, ktorá bola hlavne používaná neskôr aj v renesancii, freska, kedy teda do vlhkej omietky sa ešte robí do nej nátier. So we use the wet color, like liquid color, we use it to paint to the wet plaster or wet wall. Ano, plaster je omietka, tak to môžeme použiť. They painted pictures of daily life. So, for example, just their culture, people dancing, people, for example, women weaving or farming. Okay, so many things from daily life, what was happening. I will show you then in the pictures the most famous frescoes of Minoans. Minoans were also famous merchants who basically mostly traded with people in overseas. So for example, with Egypt, Phoenicia and Middle East, we already know all of these civilizations. So they were famous sailors as well, because they had to, when they were an island, okay, they had to trade with people overseas. In the term of religion, they worshipped Mother Goddess, so the only goddess. Okay, she was the symbol of fertility, and also the very important thing was that bull was their sacred animal. It was according to the mythology. So probably you've all heard about Minotaur. So this was half man, half bull, who according to the mythology was in the labyrinth, in the maze, and he was there like eating people. Legenda o Minotaurovi, takisto vám ju dám v tom worksheete, spočíva v tom, že Minotaurus po slovensky bol synom kráľa Minosa. Narodil sa takto napol bík, napol človek po kliatbe, ktorá na neho bola zoslaná bohom Poseidónom, a v podstate uväznili ho do toho labyrintu, lebo nechceli samozrejme kráľa a kráľovna zabiť svojho syna. A práve preto teda on tam takto blúdil. Ale ide o legendu. Každopádne ten labyrint sa podľa legendy našiel, ale to, či v ňom žil Minotaurus, nevieme, či bola pravda. Každopádne vieme, že bol teda nejaké sveté zviera podľa sošiek a iných artefaktov, ktoré sa našli. Minoans used writing which was called linear A according to its shape, but this writing hasn't been deciphered. So we don't know what they were writing about, okay? Because we can't read this writing. We just call it linear A. Apart from Knossos, where was this huge palace and this city was like a capital, there was also Phaistos, for example. And what is important about these cities that they had no fortification. It could be because, for example, they didn't have, they were island, so sea was their like natural fortification, natural protection, and also they were not really warlike. They were peaceful people who were not looking for the conflicts. Anyways, in 1400 BC, this civilization collapsed. So after this year, we do not have any information about them. And this was mostly, there are some theories, of course, and it could be because of the violence from Greek tribes that came, because we know that there were 3 tribes that came in more waves in 2000 BC. Or what is basically like more probable is that we know that during this time there could be earthquake that was caused by eruption of volcano Santorini. So it could just, this earthquake could destroy the civilization, or it could be also all of these things combined. So for example, the civilization had a lot of problems in like economy, in their economy, because for example agriculturally they were destroyed by the earthquake, and then Greek tribes could came. Okay, so more of these things could happen. So Minoan civilization, just quick recap, minus the king of Crete. So the Crete was island where the Minoan civilization was. Famous palace in Knossos with its labyrinth, excavated by Sir Arthur Evans. In labyrinth, that is, there's said that Minotaur was in the labyrinth, living in the labyrinth. Minotaur is also a sacred animal, but Minoans worshipped Mother Goddess. There were famous merchants traded with civilizations like Egypt, Phoenicia, Middle East. They painted frescoes, had plumbing and piped running water. We can't read their writing, and their civilization collapsed maybe because of the volcano eruption or by violence from other tribes. Here you have in the picture famous frescoes from Palace of Knossos. These are women So we know from this fresco how the women looked like, for example, how they dressed, a lot of things about their hair, their lifestyle, and their looks. So this is mostly how these people looked like. But I suppose you've seen this picture. Maybe some of you visited Crete. And the other picture on the right is Mother Goddess. Well, she is holding two snakes, which are also a symbol, and in that particular statue, she's presenting the fertility. The other civilization that I want to talk about in this video is Mycenaean civilization, and also like Mycenaean period, because also both of these cultures we consider to be the first period of ancient Greece. So Mycenaeans, please be careful about the pronunciation. Okay, so Mycenaean civilization was formed by the Achaeans. So Mycenaeans were the first Greek tribe that came to the area of mainland Greece. Dobre, čiže už tí Achajci vieme, že bola prvá vlna gréckych kmeňov, ktoré prišli do materského Grécka. So the Achaeans, and they built city kingdoms. This means that it was not one empire, but more city kingdoms which were independent. And this was, for example, Mycenae, Thebes, Athens, Sparta, and Tiryns. Probably you now know Athens and Sparta, which will be very important for us later. So please remember at least Mycenae, Athens, Sparta. So at least these three. The kings and warrior aristocracy controlled the surroundings from fortresses with thick walls placed on elevated areas. So this is very different from Minoans, right? Because they didn't have any fortifications, but these Achaeans did. Usually on elevated areas, to znamená teda na nejakých vyvýšených miestach. Dobre, čiže niekde na kopci s hrubými múrmi, hrubými stenami, takže sa bránili. Apart from this, another piece of architecture was Megaron. Megaron was a hall in Mycenaean palace that was surrounded by 4 columns. You can see it in the picture. It was basically something like a living room, so the most important place of the house when these people met and they were discussing important matters and so on. So it was like the atrium. Obkolesené 4 stĺpmi v strede domu, vidíte to teda v strede paláca, vidíte to na tom aj priereze a hore vidíte kresbu v podstate, ako tí ľudia sa tam sústreďovali. Mycenaean civilization was very much influenced by Minoan culture, because after the fall of the Minoans, they took over their cultural heritage. For example, paintings, ships, religion, and trade routes. So they really took over their strong position as like number 1 in ancient Greek civilization. They also had very similar writing, which is called Linear B, but this one we actually can read, because it was deciphered by Michael Ventris. From the Mycenaean civilization there is a very important source, and we call it Iliad and Odyssey. Iliad and Odyssey were written by Homer and were the poems, epic poems, so this means like really long poems that actually are like stories, so they have some plot. And these stories were written later, so not in the Mycenaean period, but they are evidence of what was happening during this period. And you should know that they were talking about the most important war that happened during the period, but we're still not sure if it really happened. And this was the Trojan War, described in the Iliad, and Odyssey refers to return of one of military officers, of the commanders, who was called Odysseus. So Iliad, I want you to remember this one, Iliad, that it was about Trojan War, written by Homer. Troy was considered to be imaginary city, but Henrik Schliemann excavated it actually in Turkey, because he was thinking that, for example, Sir Arthur Evans, he was reading the legend about Labyrinth. He excavated it and actually it existed. So Henrik Schliemann was talking to himself, maybe Troy is also a real place. So he started to read the story of Iliad, this poem, and according to it he started to search for Troy, and he found it in Turkey. Of course, there are some theories that actually it can be another city, but there are also a lot of evidence saying for this theory of Henrik Schliemann. As I mentioned, Odyssey is about Odysseus' adventures on his return to Ithaca. Ithaca is a region in mainland Greece where the Athens are located, and this story mainly describes cultural changes caused by incoming Greek tribes, because we know that after the Achaeans, who created the Mycenaean civilization, the Dorians and Ionians came as well. We know that, for example, Mycenaean culture was destroyed by Dorians. There is written the word blended in the brackets. Čo to znamená to slovičko blended? Znamená to teda splynúť. To znamená, že vždy, keď sa nejaká kultúra zničí, alebo teda hovoríme o páde nejakej kultúry, neznamená, že do jedného človeka tá kultúra vymrie. Znamená to to, že tí ľudia, ktorí v podstate sa vzdajú, napríklad počas bitiek, alebo teda povedzme, že prežijú, tak títo ľudia nejakým spôsobom sa podvolia potom tej väčšinovej kultúre a postupom do nej úplne splynú. Then you have pictures. So in the picture there is on the left, I will start with that, there are thick walls of city of Mycenae, and this one especially is called Lion's Gate, because can you see there are two lions just on the top of the gate, and as I mentioned, it is located in Mycenae, which is now just like excavated city in Greece. And in the picture on the right, you can see the golden mask. This was used as burial mask, či pohrebná maska. To je niečo, ako nosili napríklad aj faraóni v Egypte v tých sarkofágoch. To je nejaká maska, ktorá sa v podstate pokladá na tvár už mŕtvemu, lebo vidíte, že napríklad má zavreté oči. Čiže nie je to žiadna maska bojová, ale už teda pohrebná. And this is the mask of famous king of Mycenae, who was called Agamemnon. And Agamemnon was also mentioned in Iliad, so he was the king who also fought in the Trojan War. Okay, so this is it for today's lesson. Well, what you should know? What you should know is that for the Mycenaean civilization, they were created by the tribe of Achaeans. You should know at least 3 important city kingdoms they made, so Mycenae, Athens, and Sparta. They had fortresses with thick walls on elevated areas, so they had fortifications. They had megaron in their palaces, so it was whole in the center of the palace with 4 columns that surrounded it. They were famous for the same things as the Minoans, because they took over their cultural heritage as paintings, ships, religion, trade routes, and they had the writing linear B that was similar to the Minoan writing, but this one was deciphered, so we can read it. Deciphered by Michael Ventris. Iliad and Odyssey are sources of information These are epic poems written by Homer. Iliad is about Trojan War. Troy was excavated by Henrik Schliemann, and it's located in modern-day Turkey. Mycenaean culture was destroyed by the tribe of Dorians, so another Greek tribe that came. Okay, so another thing is that I will share some videos about Trojan War and these two civilizations with you. So I will also put it to the to Google Classroom. Okay, so this period is also about mythology, about legends, about stories. So I hope it will be interesting for you to learn about this. Okay, and not really difficult. Poprosím vás naozaj, aj sa to skúste učiť tak, že si tieto dve civilizácie budete porovnávať. Dobre, čo bolo v tej mykenskej civilizácii, čo bolo napríklad v minojskej civilizácii, že kto bol archeológ, kto niečo objavil, ako tá civilizácia skončila, aké možno dedičstvo nám zanechala. Skúste si ich porovnať a určite si pozrite tie videá, a keby niečomu nerozumiete, stále sa so mnou môžete akýmkoľvek spôsobom spojiť. So this is it for today's lesson, and stay home, stay healthy, and bye.